What is up, football fans? It is that time of the week again. It is Polar Opposites, episode 3.3. Today, me, Ace, and my counterpart, Webb, are going to give you a week one preview of Bandits versus Maulers. We're going to break down the coaching staff, a couple of the players, and offensive and defensive schemes. Then we will each give our pick on who's going to win and what we think the score is going to be. Afterwards, we'll put up a poll, and you can go ahead and vote and say who won. All right, at NOLA Breakdown, at USFL Webb, the Fighting Fedora himself. Webb, how are you doing?
Good. It's time to take the hat off. I'm ready to go. Let's go.
I won't because I have had hair, but okay, you can start.
Mine's fading, but well, I chose the Maulers. It's not my pick. I guess I'm spoiling it, but I chose the Maulers to do that because I love Kirby Wilson. I really do. He like we were talking before the show. He was the best on the number one podcast. He was
great,
insightful. And he's never had a shot, man. Like he's never been like he came out of retirement to do this, to be a head coach, and he's calling the plays. And the coolest thing was that I learned is that his staff is basically all guys that have never done it before at this level. So like I thought that was really, really cool, like giving other guys a shot. So his offensive coordinator, John Tomlinson, the quarterback equalizer. I still haven't downloaded the app. You can download it, where you basically make calls as a pocket passer. It sounds pretty cool, and he uses it as a tool to teach his quarterbacks. And we'll see if Loletta can learn a few tricks there. I know Day One is calling him as the MVP, but I don't know about that. But Tomlinson's been around high school, the college, 3 stints in the NFL. He was with the Colts with Peyton Manning, which is kind of cool. First time he's ever been an offense coordinator at this level, so kind of interested to see what he does. And then the D coordinator is a young guy. I don't know if Jaron Horton. Young guy. He was at UConn, which UConn's defense, being from Connecticut, I know that UConn's defense has been pretty porous. So, but he's big on technique and fundamentals. Every interview that I saw when researching him was all about fundamentals. So, which kind of makes sense with Kirby because we think that they're going to be the most archaic offense. Basically, run the ball, not so much spread them out. So,
it's like Novocaine, coach. Give it time, it'll work.
So, I'm excited to see the staff just because it is so different, and it's one of the teams that it's very tough to get a read on, but. The quarterback, obviously, is Kyle Loletta. Tomlinson's going to try to work his magic about decision-making. If you look at Loletta's scouting reports, it's basically he doesn't really have a great arm. He's accurate, and his decision-making was all right, but nothing. I think he's a game manager, so we'll see. But on offense, and we talked about in 3.1, but my weapons are Matt Siebert, big red zone target, tough kid. Heath Miller. Like every time I watch him at Michigan State, I just think of Heath Miller. Now he's playing for Pittsburgh, so it's kind of fitting. But Devon Smith is an electric runner. He was great in the XFL. Will benefit the most on the team, I think. I know Garrett Grochek is there too, but I think it's going to be Devon Smith. And then Trey Walker is an electric big play capability. He takes the top off of the defense. So he's got great footwork. The offense will probably gel the fastest, I think, because they are simplistic, if that makes sense. So basically, these guys have been doing this. There's not a ton of new concepts, I don't think. On offense, they're fast on the outside, and inside they look to be tough. And if you remember the podcast, they just talked about toughness the most out of any of the coaches so far. Kirby was just talking about tough. On the defensive side, Jalen Sapp is so fast. Arnold Tarpley told us that on the interview the other night. He is so electric fast, and I'm excited to see if they're going to use him as a punt returner, kick returner. Tarpley is my defensive player of the year pick, and because I think he's a big play safety, or nickel, he can move anywhere. Interesting fact: they have the oldest player in the league. Did you know that?
Really?
Yeah, Ethan Westbrook. He played 67 games for the Rams, so he's experienced 1,449 NFL snaps he has taken, which is more than I think 3 teams defense combined. Like he has played. It might be more than 3 teams, but I know it's more than the Breakers. Um, and then the defense has it's the defense like with your gamblers, it's fast, right? Like
Yes.
everyone's fast. This defense, it's like you got a piece of this and a piece of that and a piece of that and a piece of this. And Tarpley said it on the interview, and he's 100% correct. It's not like they're all faster; they're all strong. They're just like they got a guy here and a guy there. But I think they're going to battle for that last playoff spot in the North because I think 2, 3, and 4 are all basically kind of question mark. I don't know what to think of them yet fully, mainly because the quarterback is not electric. So, but anyways, that's my preview on the Maulers. What do you got for the Bandits?
All right.
My pick for number 1. So
your pick for number 1.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I got their coaches and then a little synopsis over the players. Their head coach, Todd Haley, most known for his head coaching of the Kansas City Chiefs from 2009 to 2011, and then his offensive coordinating job from 2012 to 2017. He's played a plethora of NFL experience. I mean, literally everything up until this, except for 1 year, he was coaching within the NFL, which is awesome. He has great NFL experience, but he has almost no experience in alt football. The only other coaching experience he has from the NFL is that in 2020 to 2021, he was the offensive coordinator of Riverview High School. So, take that as you will. I think he has a great offense. He's known for having creative and almost random offensive scheme because he's willing to take risks and he isn't afraid to throw deep passes. But he isn't necessarily like, oh, he's a zone runner. He's a power runner. He likes to throw deep and crossers. He likes to throw swing routes and slants. He will do all of it. And in times when some coaches would be like, yeah, we shouldn't go deep here because we're not in a great position for it, he will take that shot, which I think is incredibly exciting and could be the reason that the Bandits be number 1, like you think, or could be the reason that the Bandits are last place. So it's kind of a toss up there. I think that he will be calling the offensive plays, but their offensive coordinator is Bob Saunders. Bob Saunders is also a veteran coach within the NFL. Sorry, he's younger. Their defensive coordinator is older. He's a young OC. He's only been an OC once. He's coached mainly wide receivers as he's gone, which makes perfect sense when you're looking at Todd Haley because Todd Haley's not necessarily a runner. He's going to use some impressive different run looks at you, but that's just to open up the pass because he wants to pass. But Bob Saunders, he has all football experience. He coached wide receivers for the Virginia Destroyers in the UFL. And if we learned anything from Coach Runnels, the UFL could have some good coaches. His coach was Sean McVay. And he was also the wide receiver coach for the DC Defenders in the XFL. So he has the experience. He knows what he's going into. And I think that bodes well for him, especially being younger. But on the defensive side, they have defensive coordinator Pepper Johnson, which is just a fun name to say. But Pepper is an old veteran NFL linebacker with 2 Super Bowls under his belt. He was impressive back in the day, and he's been coaching ever since. So he had a stint of coaching under Bill Belichick as an assistant coach, and then he moved on to mostly be a defensive line coach in the NFL. He was great doing those, and then he moved into alt football. So he coached the defensive line of the Memphis Express in the AAF and had some success there, and then moved on to be the defensive coordinator of the Wildcats, the LA Wildcats in the XFL. Fun fact about him, though, he was only their defensive coordinator for 1 game because my Houston Roughnecks came in and tapped them. 37-17. They scored 3 passing touchdowns in that game alone. So he's on a redemption run. And obviously he came back into alt football. He's going to be the defensive coordinator. He's probably got a bad taste in his mouth from his last experience. And I think he's looking for, his comeback. And to lead that comeback will be Jordan Ta'amu. They got the quarterback everybody wants, except for me. They got the face of the XFL with the Battlehawks. Ta'amu, honestly, he is a great talent. The guy has a good arm. He's got great legs. He makes decent decisions with a couple interceptions that he shouldn't throw here and there. But I think he's a good quarterback. And I think that if Todd Haley really can shape it up a little bit from when he did get fired from the Steelers, like you said, everybody gets fired, but it was because he had fallen off and he wasn't as good. So if he can have his comeback as well, I think him and Pepper Johnson are both walking down that road. And I think Jordan Ta'amu could help him do that. But the offense, other than Ta'amu, they have receivers with, great experience. And they also have a possible dual threat in John Franklin II, which is, I thought was cool already when they drafted him because he was a quarterback who shifted to wide receiver because he thought it would help him get to the NFL. And he won a Super Bowl as a backup. But he still does have that arm. He was a quarterback. And in this league, you now can have 2 forward passes. So I think that he could become a really cool part of that offense if Todd Haley gets creative enough, which he's known for. But then they have the running backs who are incredibly similar, being that they're not super big, but they're really fast and they run and play really hard in BJ Emmons and Juwan Washington. Juwan Washington did some push-ups for me because his school didn't go as far in March Madness. He's my personal favorite, but I think BJ Emmons is probably going to be their bell cow in that backfield. And then on the defense, they made some fantastic picks. Not necessarily names that you knew, but once you watched their tape, you were like, wow, they really did do well. They grabbed Obi Melifonwu, the safety. He was the only safety that they took in the original draft. He's great. He is basically a linebacker. Like, he's built like a linebacker with speed like a corner and hits like a safety. The dude is crazy, and I think that that's awesome. And then they liked their inside linebacker, Christian Sam, so much that they never drafted another inside linebacker, even in the supplemental. So they made some interesting choices, but in the supplemental, they also got an absolute steal in Quentin Meeks, who has great experience. He played for the Chargers and the Jags in the NFL, and I'm assuming he wasn't in the original draft because he went in the supplemental and he was a steal. So I think that they have a young, fast defense and a pretty good offense. I think their major downfall is going to be that their defensive coordinator isn't that good. I love the name Pepper Johnson, but I just don't think he's going to be that great. And the defensive line, maybe not great as well.
I remember watching Pepper actually play with the Giants and the Patriots and the Jets and all that. So I've always been a big fan of him. So he played with LT.
No, I'm a fan. I just don't think he's that great as a defensive coordinator.
I think he got a raw deal in LA last year or 2 years ago. So I think he butted heads, but he's stubborn. But that's good. So your pick for the game.
All right. So my pick, I'm taking the Maulers over the Bandits, specifically because I think the Bandits defense is going to underperform. I don't think they're going to be coached that well. And I think that the Maulers are probably going to run all over them. I honestly believe that. And while Kyle Laletta, not exciting, not super cool, I think that he still pulls it out. Game manages enough to get him there. And I think that the Maulers are going to win 24-14.
Wow.
What's your pick?
Oh, I love Jordan Ta'amu. I told you on draft night, man. They won the draft already.
Yeah.
And then they drafted weapons that are experienced for them. And the defense, you even said it, they made some great picks. I'm a big fan of Pepper Johnson. I got them winning 26-13. Bandits.
All right. Everybody, you can see it below. Pause it, write it down. Think about who you think is going to win. And then when we put up that poll, you let us know why you think I won. So that is Polar Opposites, episode 3.3, the last of episode 3. We did 3 installations, 2 serious ones, and 1 fun one in the middle. So meet us next week when we move on to episode 4. Topics to be determined. I don't remember them unless you came up with them already.
I don't think we made it.
We have not.
We didn't. It's been crazy, but
we have not. It's been busy, but we'll bring them to you, and we're excited to
Well,
bring
you
them
got
to
the
you.
fantasy show coming up, right? So everyone's
Yes. And come Friday, which I believe this episode will probably come out, watch the Blitz Brothers fantasy show with myself, Ace, and my younger brother, who is our Panthers representative, Maverick. He's a trader, but I'm going to play nice with him, and we're going to do a fantasy show, and we're going to have a special guest. So join us. It's going to be fun. Get some friends, make a fantasy league. You literally only need 4 to 6, and let's enjoy our time together.
All right.
All right. And with that, we will sign off. Thank you for voting that I won.
Winner, winner.